Hey, boss, he ain't working.
Sippers, sippets. Just a day after we took out the supreme leader in Iran, we now have a shooter in Austin. A mass shooting in Austin that occurred. Let's review.
Oh my God! What is going on? What the fuck is going on? Jesus fucking Christ! What the fuck?
Imagine that happening every day in your society, right? Imagine that.
To people, and that made a difference. But also our police officers who so rapidly responded and handled this situation. What we will do, and I'll mention this again a little bit later, but what we will do is get a briefing right now to get information to you. And then during the course of the day, as we continue this, we will on a regular and routine basis provide you additional information. So with that, I'm going to ask our police chief, Chief Davis, to come up.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to start by saying my condolences to those that have been touched by this. This is a tragic, tragic incident. I want to start by saying how fortunate we were. If you imagine all of the resources that APD has on East 6th Street on the weekend, and fortunately those resources, after the bars were closing, were able to rapidly move here. Chief Lutkwitz will have more on that response, a co-response, but we were here rapidly due to that. This incident started with, again, that calls for a male shooting at Buford's Bar on West 6th Street. Officers immediately transitioned, came over East 6th to West 6th Street, and were faced with the individual with the gun, and 3 of our officers returned fire, killing the suspect. Again, as the mayor said, this is a situation that we are going to be talking about probably all day. And all of you have many questions, as do we. Our federal partners are here, as well as others. And this will be a scene that will take several hours to process. And so I ask for your patience. But again, we will get as much information as quickly as we can to you. At this point, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Chief Lutkwitz.
Good morning. Thank you, Chief Davis. Just to echo as well our condolences to everyone that was involved in this. From an EMS perspective, this was a very active scene. As many of you know, we have paramedics that are embedded in the entertainment district and with the Austin Police Department on the weekends. We received the call at 1:59 a.m. and within 57 seconds, the first paramedics and officers were on scene actively treating the patients. We had a total of 17 patients on the scene. 14 of those were transported to the hospital. 3 were pronounced dead on scene. Of the 14 patients who were transported to the hospital, 3 were in critical condition. As I said, our condolences go out to everyone that was involved, and we'll be back with more information in the future. I'll turn it back over to them.
And this is crazy. And I think this should also show the importance of who we let in this country. You had a freedom to worship and worship whoever you want to worship and things of that nature. But it's amazing that a lot of people are not assimilating to America. They radicalize in whatever religion or wherever they come from, right? And so it's important that we highlight this. And condolences to the families that lost their loved ones. My hope for a speedy recovery for the people that were injured. But it just goes to show you the lack of sympathy, the lack of light. It's important that we don't take our lives for granted each and every day. That being said, I think that it's still important that we must continue to strengthen access to coming to America, whether you're a refugee or you're skip the line. At the end of the day, if these people are not simulating and not adjusting to our culture, then why are they here? A lot of people are supposed to be coming here for a better opportunity, a better life, or escaping the turmoil from their other countries. But then, just like with the supreme leader of Iran and the ideology of it all is death to America. And a lot of these people hold this dear in their heart. And so understand, when I'm harping on certain factors as if like, why we don't have pride in our country. But you can see this mass shooter went out for what he believes wholeheartedly. He didn't care about the victims, the innocent. It was only about what he truly believes. And that's my whole thing. We have to take back our country by the reins and understand that we are very fortunate and blessed, because this type of behavior goes on every day in other countries. But I digress. Let's keep it going.
Shooter, and now we have a picture. And this is what we're finding out. Per multiple federal law enforcement sources to our own Bill Malhusian, the Austin mass shooter is a 53-year-old naturalized U.S. citizen who was born in Senegal and was living in Pflugerville, Texas. Material recovered from his person and inside the vehicle give possible indications of a nexus to terrorism, as the FBI announced earlier today. And remember what we said he had in his possession and was also wearing. The shooter was wearing clothing that said Allah on it. His sweater said property of Allah. And there's also known to be an undershirt with an Iranian flag and other materials inside. And remember what Representative Michael McCall of Texas just told me last hour. He said, Harris, in my own backyard, just last night, we had an event that possibly could have been terror inspired right here in Austin, Texas. This is what he was talking about. Brett, I was reminding Americans, this is not a new place for us to be in terms of keeping our heads on a swivel. But it bears repeating, we've lost Americans in the fight on the battlefield, and protecting the homeland now is also something that we must be on the alert. Now, authorities have not tied this Austin situation to what's happening in the Middle East as terror related to that, but they are investigating it just moments ago, confirming as a possible terror attack.
I believe it's connected. I believe it's connected. Like, I don't have an issue with other religions and what you believe. Hey, kudos to you. I believe what I believe. You believe what you believe. But at this point, the extremism, these extremists, whatever religion you may be in, I think this is very, 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 very asinine, and it has no place in America. It has no place in our world. It shouldn't even be a thought. But he was naturalized, so he's been here, but he's also been radicalized, because at what point do you get to dictate? At what point are we able to differentiate what these people, who is an ally versus who is not, who is for America and versus who is not? Let's keep it going.
Your reaction?
Well, we have to remain vigilant. I mean, Khamenei, he was a religious figure. We don't know if this attack was associated, but it very well may be. But the fact is, this isn't a representation of how most people from that region feel. The Iranian people, they fear their own rulers more than our own military. They hate, their own oppressive rulers than anyone else. And we may see more attacks like this. We have to be vigilant. There are proxy groups everywhere that are looking for ways to harm Americans and hurt Americans. And but the fact of the matter is, overall, there are images right now showing most Iranians and most Shias celebrating today, not because of war, but because they hate their own rulers more than anyone else. That's a sign that we're striking, not just at their military, we're striking at the legitimacy of a brutal regime. The Iranian people want better relationships with the West. They have the potential to be our biggest ally. I think it's important we collectively separate the terrorist regime from that of the majority Iranian people. These people have spent decades, trying to hurt us. And so the fact is, again, we just need to remain vigilant in the wake of these strikes.
Look, I don't want to make too much out of this because the FBI and federal authorities have to do their jobs and tell us what the facts are with this particular case. But you are looking at on your screen right now the man that they suspect to be the Austin, Texas shooter. And he is 53 years old. And I don't know if you had seen this as well. There were all sorts of descriptions about age, but now we know some specificity. He's 53-year-old American citizen, naturalized, originally from Senegal. He is wearing a sweater, and you can see here a sweater that says "Property of Allah" with an undershirt in the Iranian flag. I want to ask you about this. We had a tremendous amount of people come across the border, and I can't ignore this, because this is just fact, Brett. There are a lot of people in this country, we don't know if they're being radicalized. Maybe some came in and they participated in that or led the way or have become something different while they're here. But it matters letting millions of people come in and you have no way to vet them. And that's what happened under the Biden administration. We're catching up, but a lot of those people are still here. Your thoughts?
Well, with that, as well as what's going on overseas, there's been a seismic shift in global security, right? That regime over there in Iran is, fragile after decades of corruption. That border for years was a perfect place for the Iranian regime to send some of their proxy groups undetected. I don't know if you remember years ago, we almost had an attack in DC where Iranians were sent in to try and kill the Saudi ambassador at the time. There are humans out there that want to hurt us. And right now there is a complete structural shock to the Iranian regime and their way of life. Their internal system is highly centralized around this supreme leader, and that religious leader is gone. I think that was one of the reasons that President Trump initially had maybe held off the Israelis striking Khamenei, because he was such a religious figure. But that's changed now. We've removed that node, and it's created this uncertainty inside the clerical establishment across the proxy networks globally, and we need to just pay attention for more attacks like this.
And I believe they speak in facts, but I will say this as well. And this goes back to what the Biden administration let happen over his tenure. This happened on Biden's watch. This happened on Kamala Harris's watch. She was supposed to be the quote unquote border czar. And so on top of that, I would say, because it's not just Biden's fault, but it's our fault collectively when our systems, our policies are so lackadaisical. We allow people to come over here without thorough background checks, and we have gotten too relaxed as a country when it comes to this. We're so sympathetic. We have so much empathy for the outside world, but we are not even protecting our own people in our own country. Excuse me. So therefore, this is what we're gonna have. It's already bad enough that we can't weed everything out. Let's just be honest. But we can do a better job at thoroughly examining people, their histories, and what they believe. And this is not an attack on Muslims. This is not an attack on Islam. This is not an attack on Iranians. This is not an attack abroad. This is just a wake-up call in a sense that everybody ain't for us and everybody don't need to be here in America. That's just bottom line. You can call it how you want to. You can say whatever you want to say, but we need to set up more parameters, more roadblocks for just people just coming into this country. But sippers, y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. It's your boy Mercy.